I'm scared. I'm a mess. I got my sprained ankle.
That's the whole point of this fight. It creates conversation, barbershop conversations, taxi conversations, airplane conversations, and that's what we want. The more people talking about the fight.
The arena went from a storm of cheers to a stunned hush and back again in the space of a few heartbeat-long exchanges. Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul was built as a collision of eras, a decorated heavyweight trying to reassert himself, and a social media-born fighter who has spent years turning spectacle into sporting credibility. When the last bell rang, the internet detonated. Highlight reels, hot takes, and surgeons of opinion slicing the fight into frames. In the hours that followed, both men finally spoke, raw, careful, and defiant. The night was bigger than a single name on a scorecard.
I think at the end of the day, I'm a kid with a big heart that wants to change the world, disruptor. And I never took no for an answer, and I'm just chasing my dreams, having fun, and living the American dream, really. It's a testament to hard work, and every single day dedicating yourself to a craft, pushing through when you don't want to be there, and it all pays off in the long run, and believing in yourself, setting goals that people think are impossible. That's really what my story is all about, and that I hope...
There's a unique silence that follows big nights in boxing, not the absence of sound, but the pregnant pause before shape returns to chaos. Trainers checked vitals, doctors did their rounds, and both camps retreated behind closed doors. When the public statements came, they were personal and unvarnished. Confessions of fatigue, bitter praise, and the kind of measured fury only an athlete can wear. Joshua's first message read like a man cataloging what the night had taken and given, the missed angles, the rounds that slipped, the moments that would be analyzed for years. Paul's initial comment, equal parts bravado and bone-deep candor, leaned into the fight's emotional weather, the loneliness, the roar, the fractal of judgment that follows every controversial exchange. Both emphasized the same thing: respect for the event, appreciation for the crowd, and the intention to let the fight breathe in memory before being reduced to a single line on a judgment sheet.
Different skills. He has a very side-on stance, tries to practice the Philly shell, and I think Jake has a chance that is slim to none.
I really appreciate it.
All good?
Thanks, boss.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.
Yeah. Heavyweight of the world!
Yeah, can you get my back? For the first week of sparring, I had to get comfortable in there and let things slow down and feel the power out and get the confidence to slip, catch, move.
In the lead-up to the clash, predictions were everywhere and wildly split. Oddsmakers and many analysts installed Anthony Joshua as the favorite, listing him as the expected winner in most betting markets. That picture was reinforced across respected outlets and betting boards. On the analytical side, CBS Sports and Sportsline combat expert Josh Nagel leaned toward Joshua, with Nagel's top prop calls including Joshua to win by TKO/KO, a reflection of Joshua's resume against high-level opposition and his finishing power. Yahoo Sports viewers likewise flagged Joshua as the man most likely to stop the fight inside the early rounds, pointing to the way the referee and the occasion itself might tilt matters in favor of the more experienced heavyweight. Yet the chorus was not unanimous. Boxing's louder personalities and some high-profile fighters offered contrarian reads. Tyson Fury, never shy to wager both words and cash on his conviction, publicly predicted Paul could land the kind of punch that changes everything, even claiming he'd bet heavily on Paul in a hypothetical. That show of confidence from Fury pushed the narrative that the unexpected was still very possible. Dana White, in his typical blunt fashion, gave a candid appraisal that mixed skepticism about crossover narratives with a grudging respect for Paul's bravery in taking on heavyweight drama, a reminder that the sports gatekeepers were watching, judging, and sometimes surprised. And then there were the fighters themselves. Jake Paul, who spent the last few years telling anyone who listened that he's here to rewrite the rules, publicly predicted victory and insisted Anthony Joshua could not knock him out, announcing his confidence on shows like The Pat McAfee Show and throughout the early media run. The tension in those pre-fight predictions was valuable for the fight itself. When the underdog has credible believers and the favorite has analytical heavyweights on his side, the night gets a cinematic push that makes every round feel epic. Post-fight, the pundit corps did what pundits do. They retracted threads, doubled down where they could, and praised moments that surprised them. Some former champs and current pros admitted they'd misread the tempo. Others used the fight as an object lesson. Amir Khan, for instance, spoke about the strikes that could stop influencer boxing, a comment praising Joshua's ability to impose old-school knockout power and discipline on a modern spectacle. Other fighters took to social media to call out technical adjustments, ring generalship, and the rare moments where crowd energy inverted expectations. What was refreshing was the honesty. Few tried to paper over being wrong. Instead, many used the fight to talk craft, how to prepare for a social media-born fighter who has honed timing against experienced fringe pros, and how a veteran like Joshua must prepare for both physical and narrative threats, the kind that can sway officials, broadcasters, and momentum.
Well, it's very tough to say something about Joshua or Jake. I'm waiting for this fight because I'm so excited. But, Jake have a lot of chance to win, and a lot of people think he not, but I believe in Jake. Joshua is the best fighter and have a lot of experience in boxing. He's a heavyweight guy, but Jake improved a lot, and the people need respect both, because it's not everybody have sorry my language, but have a balls for come inside the ring and fight,
From the first bell, the tone was immediate and kinetic. There were flurries that suggested Paul's awkward, aggressive angles could get through. There were rounds that looked like textbook heavyweight boxing, length control, jab setups, heavy power shots. Moments that looked routine on pause were seismic live, a short uppercut that made the crowd inhale, a foot stumble that shifted balance in an entire round. In the aftermath, both fighters spoke respectfully of those key moments. Joshua's camp highlighted effective jabs and power combinations. Paul's team pointed to scrappy infighting and a ring confidence that belied his non-traditional path into the elite echelons of attention. Both camps focused on what the fight extracted from both men: new respect, new doubt, and a gallery of what-ifs. If the ring was where the fight happened, social media was where it lived forever. A single exchange, a clean collision, or a near fall became the night's lingua franca. Clips of those moments looped by the millions. Pundits, celebrities, and casual fans argued technique, replay by replay. Memes turned brief grimaces into endless hot takes. Both fighters leaned into that environment. Short, raw clips released from the dressing room or on the way to the medical area made fans feel part of the inside theater. The effect was to humanize and monetize in a single breath. Intimate confessional post-fight content convinced viewers they were watching something real rather than a press-managed narrative. Trainers from both camps spoke like surgeons. Joshua's corner pointed to missed range management and the need to maintain a high guard against unconventional angles. Paul's team praised conditioning and heart, but acknowledged tactical blind spots against an opponent with Joshua's shot-making. Both sides used the language of learning. Neither used the platform for grandstanding or excuses. There were clinical breakdowns: why a particular round tilted, how the pace imposed stress on a game plan, and what could be corrected going forward. Those comments read like homework lists the fighters will carry into their next training cycles.
See those big discrepancy in skill. Sometimes the better fighter carries the other fighter, or maybe goes a little easier. Is there any part of you that maybe thinks that way, or are you going in there 100%?
Zero part of me. And it's not even that it's Jake. It's just, do you know, I was actually looking at myself today. I'm a very respectful guy, brought up by a good family, but if I can kill you, I'll kill you. That's just how I am. And this is just the job I do, so...
This fight moved serious commercial meters. Odds markets swung during the bout and throughout the post-fight weekend. Pay-per-view buys were dissected, and promoters circled rematches like prize bulls. Outlets like CBS and other betting analysts published prop bets and adjusted lines in real time, a reminder that boxing today is equal parts sport and data-driven entertainment industry. Executives and broadcasters will be counting rewatch sales and subscription spikes for weeks. A high-drama night like this is currency. It funds future cards, converts casual viewers, and can reframe a fighter's marketability overnight. If pundits argued craft, fans argued meaning. Social feeds hosted confessions and lifelong allegiances. Older boxing fans griped about spectacle. Younger viewers celebrated the collision of content and craft, and neutral observers admitted they'd been pulled into the theater of the night. One sentiment dominated: this was a moment people wanted to have been part of. Both fighters thanked the fans in separate messages, acknowledging that win or lose, the spectacle only exists because people showed up and paid attention. Talk of running it back began in the stands and never fully stopped. For promoters, this is the obvious play. Controversy equals commerce, and a rematch sells itself. Both camps were intentionally non-committal in public remarks, a common negotiating posture that keeps pressure on the other side while letting the market gauge appetite for another date. The smart money in boxing knows a rematch becomes inevitable if the first night produces more questions than answers. Both men left the door open, which is to say, the story isn't over. Not by a long shot. Both camps also prioritized health in their statements. Monitoring and precautionary checks were emphasized, necessary reminders that beyond narrative and commerce, long-term welfare matters most. Those notes cooled some of the more fevered social chatter and refocused attention on recovery and next steps. There's a way fights recalibrate narratives. For Joshua, this night becomes another chapter in a book that includes heavyweight titles, painful setbacks, and public reinvention. For Paul, it's a high-stakes proof or disproof moment for a career built on attention and legitimate ring results. Both men used the word legacy. One framed it as a long arc. The other treated it as immediate work. Both agreed on one thing: legacy is built on response. How they react in the weeks and months ahead, in training, in the press, and in the ring, will likely matter more than any single outcome.
What it is that they're talking about is a massive bonus. So for me, I'm not worried about what people think about the integrity side. I'm more worried about, are they talking? And as long as they...
This was a strategic, human choice. This fight, Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, will not be forgotten quickly. It will be memed, classed, taught in gyms, and litigated by pundits for years. The immediate statements from both fighters did something smart. They focused on what the fight cost them and what it offered in return: lessons, respect, and momentum to write the next chapter. Whether that chapter begins as a rematch, a renewed heavyweight push, or a different set of opponents, one thing is clear. Both men will be judged less by a single outcome and more by what they do next. But what are your thoughts on the fight outcome? And who do you think Jake Paul should fight next to continue proving he's a legitimate boxer? Let me know in the comments below, and stay tuned for all the latest boxing updates.